Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, December 29th, 2023. We've had a long week for NFL news. A lot of injuries last week, a whole lot going on. Obviously, Christmas happening earlier this week, but New Year's right around the corner. We've got a ton of games New Year's. We've got a ton of college football, a ton of NFL. We have a lot of pending free agency things going on in the MLB. A lot of rumors, a lot of moves kind of developing. But the biggest thing you can see is that it's just me today. I'm running it solo. Luke is sick. Colin has to work. I would have asked Nathan to fill in. He also has to work. So it's time for the third ever solo run for me. And obviously, we have a lot to talk about. But before that, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff on YouTube, and then go over to the podcast platforms, rate 5 stars, leave a review, and follow us on all of our social media accounts. It's not on the screen right now, but you can find them on the link tree. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into NFL Week 17. It's going to be a great one. Oddly enough, no Monday night game this week, but we've got one Saturday and everybody else plays on Sunday. So let's start off with our Saturday game, Lions Cowboys. This one's going to be a fantastic game. I got a feeling. The Cowboys are so good at home, 7-0 at home this season. They're coming off of a very tough road trip with losses to the Bills and the Dolphins on the road. This one could go really either way. The Lions are so good, like so good, but they've definitely shown weakness in plenty of places. The pass defense is not great. They give up quite a few passing yards, but to me, I don't know. There's something about this Lions offense that kind of does work similarly to the Cowboys offense, where like they have some receivers, they have, a tight end that can just really do some damage. And they've got two pretty good running backs, which Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, especially this season, beat out Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle. Undoubtedly do. But they still look good. Rico Dowdle and Tony Pollard, maybe not as good, but Jameer Gibbs and Dave Montgomery are on another level right now. This partnership is fantastic. And then when you add in the weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta into this offense, it changes everything and always gives them a chance to win in one of these games. So, man, it's so hard to tell who's going to win this game. Cowboys favored by 5.5. Obviously, being at home gives them a huge advantage. I love the Lions. They're fighting for the number one seed in the NFC. It's going to be a great game regardless, but man, I really like the Lions here. I don't know if I can go against the Cowboys at home. It's tough. Um, injury wise, obviously CJ Gardner-Johnson still in the IR, all that, but you have a couple of guys that could be a little banged up in this game. I think Rico Dowdle is questionable. Tyron Smith is questionable. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. For now, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Lions in the upset, 28-24. Lions. Not my most confident pick, but let's get into Sunday's games. You've got Patriots Bills to start it off. Bills have been rolling in the second half of the season. They have gone absolutely ballistic in this second half. Only loss since that loss to the Broncos is to the Eagles by 3 points. I believe that one was an overtime game. But they've got wins over the Jets, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers. Some of those not the most impressive wins, but still dominant. Josh Allen looks amazing after kind of a struggle to start the season. They're now sitting at 9-6. They do have a chance to win their division. The AFC East, they're only back by 2 games, I guess. So they would have to sweep the last two. The Dolphins would have to lose the last two, but the Bills still fighting for some seeding, and it could play a huge factor in how the Bills come out and play. Obviously, the Patriots coming off of a huge victory over the Denver Broncos last week, but the Bills just have way too much momentum. The Patriots probably shouldn't win this game, considering draft picks with the Giants at 5-10 right ahead of them. And then, the Commanders are at 4-11, so you don't want to jump the Commanders. All of the other stuff, the Titans 5-10, you don't want to contend with them. Same with the Chargers are 5-10. It'd be safer for the Patriots to just go ahead and lose this game. I hate to encourage a team to lose. They should lose. The Bills should win. That's what they need to go out there and do. If you can get to 11 wins this season for the Bills, firing your OC, midway through the year, this is a good look for them. And I think the Bills take it. I'm going to go 24-7. Yeah, Bills 24-7 over the Patriots. And then our next game, Falcons-Bears. My Falcons need a victory here. We're at 7-8 right now. We still definitely have a chance to make the playoffs by winning this division. The Buccaneers, tough. They're 8-7. I think we've split the season series with them. It's going to be difficult, but Tampa Bay could also lose this week and next week. They play the Saints this week. I believe they play the Panthers week 18. I'd have to fact check myself on that. But no matter what, these teams have a chance. The Falcons have a chance. The Bears aren't mathematically eliminated, so I guess they do have a chance. Some wild things would have to happen for them to make the playoffs. So we'll just leave it at that. I don't think we need to worry too much talking about the Bears trying to make the playoffs. But they have a chance. They're still alive. Don't know if they're really fighting for it, but they are alive. And I think this game actually could be pretty good. Heineke's going to stay as the starting quarterback, and I think if we can effectively use Bijan again, obviously Arthur Smith is genuinely coaching for his job. I think his job is gone, considering we're 2-5 on the road this year. Doesn't look all that good. They got to figure some things out. This offense obviously has so much that could happen. Kyle Pitts is amazing. Drake London is amazing. Bijan, great. Tyler Algier, great. Like, these guys are difference makers. They just don't have a difference maker quarterback. But Heineke, I think, gives us the best chance to win. And coming off of his first win with the Falcons last week, I think that gives us a very, very good chance to come out, bring that momentum along with us, and continue trying to win this division. But for the Bears, Justin Fields showed some fantastic stuff in these last couple of weeks. I've really liked what he's been doing. The win over the Cardinals last week was nothing short of fantastic for him. Like, passing wasn't perfect. 15 for 27, 170, one touchdown, one interception, but 9 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. And then you also had Khalil Herbert with a monster game last week. 20 carries, 112, and a touchdown. Was amazing to watch. And if they want to try and get away with something like that against the Falcons, it's going to be difficult. This Falcons defense is fantastic. Your passes over the middle aren't going to happen because you got Jesse Bates running around. You got to watch out for Nate Lambden and Caden Ellis coming at you from the linebacker position. And then, of course, the defensive line for the Falcons has been great. Calais Campbell, a career revitalization for Calais Campbell on that defensive line. And obviously the other guys all around him doing great stuff. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Obviously, I'm confident in my Falcons to win this game. But it's really just about limiting the big plays from DJ Moore and trying to at least, limit the damages of Justin Fields running it on his own. I'm going to go a relatively low-scoring game just because of the Falcons' defense, and Chicago's defense, for that matter, is pretty good. I'm going to go Falcons 17, Bears 13. So a pretty low-scoring affair, but I'm pretty confident the Falcons can pull out a win. But let's get into the next game. We've got Raiders Colts. I think this one could be pretty good. Look, the Raiders have something going on with this team that makes them kind of exciting. I know last week, they get the win, but it was sloppy. Nonetheless, you beat the Chiefs, which is a huge, huge deal. You had one of the highest viewed games in Monday football history. It wasn't really Monday night football. It was at 1:00, but this game has a huge potential to be good for the Raiders and the Colts, both of them. The Colts are very much in the playoff race. I think at the moment they're leading their division. No, they're second in the AFC South right now. The Jags have the tiebreaker over them, but they have a really good chance here. Right now, they do sit in the playoffs as the 7th seed. They have the tiebreaker over the Texans, who are in their division. They have the tiebreaker over the Bengals and the Steelers. And I love the Colts' chances here. The problem is the guys behind them. You still have to fend off the Texans and the Bengals and the Steelers and this Raiders team. They still have, if they win, they have a 30% chance. Right now, a 12% chance to make the playoffs. But if they win, a 30% chance to make the playoffs. The Colts, if they win, a 69% chance to win the playoffs. I think when it comes to this matchup, though, I just trust the Colts to make plays for the entire game. Obviously, the Raiders have guys that can make plays for sure, but Josh Jacobs still questionable. Michael Mayer is questionable in this game. Malcolm Kuntz is questionable in this game. I don't know what happened with Aiden O'Connell. I'm not sure if it was L'Jarius Sneed just locking up those wide receivers last week or what, but not completing a pass after the first quarter is honest. It's almost incredible to do that. And I will say, Aiden O'Connell leading this team, for a majority of this season has done a great job. Antonio Pierce, as the interim head coach, has done a great job. But when we're talking backup quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew has been one of the best, if not the best backup to fill in this season. He's played almost every game this season. I think Anthony Richardson went out in like week 4 for the season. Gardner Minshew has done a fantastic job. 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He, after this coming game, he'll be over 3,000 passing yards for the season. He's done some fantastic stuff. He's led them to an 8-7 record thus far. They have a great chance to jump into first place, but the Jaguars have a pretty easy matchup versus the Carolina Panthers this week. Man, it's tough. Yeah, I don't know. It is real tough here because the Raiders' defense looks so good, and you can never count out Max Crosby. That guy is a monster. So, oh man, it is tough. I think I'm going to have to stick with the Colts just because I trust the offense to put up points more than I trust the Raiders' defense to stop them, or definitely the Raiders to put up points. So, I'm going to go. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go Colts. Man, this is tough. I'm going to go Colts 23, Raiders 14. That's it. Colts 23, Raiders 14. And then our next matchup, Rams Giants. The Rams turning things around this season and putting themselves in a fantastic spot. They're 6th right now in the NFC playoff. And if they win, they go to an 87% chance to make the playoffs. If they lose, they drop off pretty significantly because there's quite a few teams in waiting. They sit at 8-7 along with the Seahawks, but obviously 4 spots already taken up in the playoffs with the Niners, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Cowboys. So it's really just the Rams and Seahawks fighting for it, and then whatever the hell happens in the NFC South. So Rams and Seahawks at 8-7, and then you have Vikings, Packers, Saints, Falcons, all at 7-8. The Rams must win this game. The Giants already mathematically eliminated. They're 5-10. Honestly, they should be losing in hopes of keeping wherever their draft pick is because they're going to need it after what we saw this season. But Tyrod Taylor is taking over the starting spot fully. Tommy Cutlets gets benched last week during the game. Now Tyrod's taking his spot in this game. He's the starting quarterback. Look, I trust Tyrod Taylor. The guy's been around the league long enough to just simply win games. And I don't know. The problem is that Matthew Stafford and this Rams offense have been rolling. They look so good in this back half of the season, but 3-4 on the road is not great, especially going into MetLife Stadium where guys like to hurt themselves a lot at MetLife Stadium. But impressive wins for the Rams in this second half. You beat the Seahawks, a big win there. You beat the Cardinals, a huge win over the Cleveland Browns. While then again, the Browns were in this phase of trying to figure things out. I think that was like one of Flacco's first weeks with the team. Nonetheless, you played a super close game with the Ravens. You took them to overtime. You play a great game and you beat the Commanders. Last week, you play a great game. You beat the Saints. The Rams look so good right now. Obviously, with the help of Kyron Williams, who has really come out of nowhere this season and just dominated. But obviously, Cooper Kupp is fully back, completely back to Cooper Kupp that we knew pre-injury. And Puka Nacua. Obviously, the breakout rookie star, Puka Nacua, has a huge effect on this offense because you can't just ignore him. You can't just double team Cooper Kupp like teams have done in the past against the Rams. You have to think about Puka. You even have to think about Demarcus Robinson, who's filled in well while Tutu Atwell was hurt. Tutu's back, but Demarcus Robinson is for sure the number 3 wide receiver now. He earned that role during Tutu Atwell's absence. So I think this is a pretty easy pick for the Rams. The score is going to be tough. They're a 6.5-point favorite, or I guess a 5.5-point favorite now, and it's hard. But I'm gonna go. Rams 24, Giants. Let's go Giants 17. Rams 24, Giants 17. A touchdown victory for the Rams. In our next game, so many games on Sunday, especially at 1 o'clock. There is a lot to watch. So, our next game, Cardinals, Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles are going to win this football game. They're a 12.5-point favorite. Sorry, spreads moved to 11. They're an 11-point favorite. Jalen Hurts has been playing much better. Kyler Murray's a little banged up, which isn't great for the Cardinals. So, I think this is for sure the Eagles. And, your only worry is that you're facing your former coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. I'm not too worried about it because it doesn't matter what kind of coach this Cardinals team has. They just don't have the players to beat this Eagles team. I know that the struggles have been there for sure, considering, they got things right after this win over the Giants, but it wasn't as impressive as you would have hoped for. But losing those 3 straight definitely killed their confidence. Definitely turned the media and the fans, not of Philly, but just fans of the NFL in general, kind of turned them on them. They looked a little more fraud-like, if you will. You lose 42-19 to the 49ers. Then you lose 33-13 to the Cowboys, and then you lose a close one to the Seahawks. People start asking some questions. And they certainly asked questions. Oh man, it's tough with the Eagles because they're clearly not what they were last year. They're not nearly as dominant, but obviously they're going to win this game against the Cardinals. I'm going to go Eagles 30. No, I don't trust the offense that much. I'm going to go Eagles 28. Eagles 27, being real indecisive. Eagles 27, Cardinals. I'll give them 13. 27-13, Eagles. Next game, though, Saints, Buccaneers. This one, big for the division standings. Obviously, Buccaneers hold the lead right now in the division, 8-7. But the Saints and the Falcons right behind them at 7-8. This is big for Tampa. If they want to win this division, they have to win this game in particular. It's going to be a tough one. Baker Mayfield's been playing great. Derek Carr's been playing pretty well, too. Chris Olave, a little banged up, but I don't think that'll be an issue. I think he'll be good to go. Uh, my biggest thing is you got to get Alvin Kamara way more incorporated back into this offense. I don't know what has happened with Kamara. It just seems like the production has significantly slowed down for this Rams team. And you come off the loss last week against the Rams, and, a lot of people have questions, of course. But to me, it's all about Kamara's issues because you look at his last couple of games. Last week against the Rams, he had 9 carries for 19 yards, and he only had 5 receptions for 16 yards. I don't know what the deal is there. He's a 100 from scrimmage every time kind of player. Like, he's the kind of guy that'll get you, like 2 weeks ago, 66 yards on the ground, 44 yards in the air. That's the kind of Alvin Kamara we need to see if they want to win football games. But you lose football games or you don't play great when he has a game like he did last week. And yeah, overall I need to see good stuff out of Alvin Kamara because he should be the leader of the offense. I know Chris Olave has been outstanding. Alvin Kamara should be the focal point of this offense, and it just doesn't seem like that's been the case. So, look, with the Buccaneers, Mike Evans, of course, having a great season. He always gets over 1,000 yards. That's what he does. But Rachaad White, also very good. I just don't know if Baker Mayfield can keep it up. And I know, like, they've won 4 straight. I get it. Like, they beat, 2 division opponents in that span. Then they beat the Packers on the road in Lambeau. And then you bring the Jags to Raymond James and you whoop up on them. I just don't know if it's real. I don't. Maybe I'm biased against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I don't know if it's real, and I don't know if I can trust Baker Mayfield to be that guy for this team. Oh, it's a tough decision here. I think I'm going to go with the Saints in the upset, a 2.5-point underdog. I'm going to take the Saints. Well, I'm going to take the Saints 21, the Buccaneers 20. Very close one. That's how I've got it. Our next game, 49ers Commanders. Okay, listen. The 49ers are going to win. I know people like to overreact. Oh, Brock Purdy threw 4 interceptions and no touchdowns last week. That's a different kind of defense. And we'll talk about that defense in a second. But that's a different kind of defense in Baltimore. The 49ers are different as well. Don't think that was the all-telling story of what this 49ers team is. It's not at all what this 49ers team is. And it really started there with Brock Purdy. Christian McCaffrey still looked great in that game last week. Deebo Samuel got a lot of targets, didn't do much. But Ayuk looked great. Kittle had a great game. It just didn't all come together. And look, people are going to say Brock Purdy got hurt at the end, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't totally say he got hurt. He definitely got banged up. Wouldn't say he was hurt. But this is the team you want to play. If you have been having any issues offensively, especially in the passing game, you want to play the Washington Commanders. Literally the worst passing defense in the league this season. They have been abysmal. I'm going to pull up the stat right now for their average passing yards per game this season. They've been giving up 261.6 net passing yards per game. They've given up 33 passing touchdowns, and they've only intercepted the ball 7 times. That's it's questionable for sure. Okay, let's be honest. It's just bad. It is. It's just bad. So, yeah, the Cowboys are sorry, not the Cowboys. The Commanders are really bad. The run defense isn't horrible, but they certainly ain't good at it. They're giving up. Actually, now that I'm looking at the stats, it's pretty bad. 122.7 rushing yards per game for their opponents. Damn. And Sam Howell's benched for Jacoby Brissett. don't think that this is like the end of Sam Howell for the Commanders. I just think that Jacoby Brissett simply supplies experience, and Howell's just not used to playing every single game in an NFL season. It's only his second year in the league. He's only had I think he had one start in the season prior to this year. So, don't condemn his efforts this season just because a couple bad performances here as of late and kind of just throughout the season. He had a couple bad ones. He's still young, and I still think he's the franchise guy at the moment. I don't want the Commanders to turn on him, but I don't think it's Sam Howell's fault for the struggles of this team at all. The offensive line has not been good. I think it all starts at the top with the head coach as well. Ron Rivera's just simply kind of lost his touch. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. Cam Newton made that, man. But don't give up on Sam Howell yet is kind of the moral of the story here. But for the 49ers, Purdy's going to bounce back. This is the team to bounce back against. And McCaffrey, I still like him for the MVP. I know Lamar's the favorite. I like him for the MVP. Barry Sanders actually was talking about this on Twitter. He said, this award is going to a quarterback. I rushed for 2,000 yards in 97, and they made me a co-MVP with Brett Favre. I do think there's a shot that Christian will split it with insert QB here, is what he said. I think it'd be Lamar, if anybody right now, just because of, the odds. But I don't think the NFL is in a position right now where they want to split MVPs. I don't think anybody wants them to do that. I know it's voted on by the Associated Press, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna split. I don't think they're splitting awards anymore. I think it's going to one guy. But my thing is like McCaffrey's. I don't know about clearly. Him and Tyreek Hill got to be front runners for Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, Tyreek Hill chasing down 2,000, and it would take quite a hill to climb. No pun intended, for him to get to 2,000. But I do think McCaffrey has a shot at MVP more than Tyreek, because the problem with it being a wide receiver is that it relies on a quarterback to have an outstanding season as well. So, like, Tua's going to probably finish higher in MVP voting than Tyreek Hill because Tua's the one giving him the ball. Whereas Christian McCaffrey, yes, he does get a lot of receiving yards, but Brock Purdy has been the guy passing the ball for this team, and Christian McCaffrey has been the guy saving their asses every single week. Whether Purdy has a good game or not, Christian McCaffrey's there to do some work, score a touchdown, whatever it may be. So, I like his chances. I also understand what Barry's saying here, saying that they're probably not giving it to a running back, because I think I agree there. But final score, 49ers by 100. I just can't imagine the Commanders keeping it low scoring. I want to go with like a ridiculous number, like a 42-point game for the 49ers, but it's a bounce back. It's not going to be it's not like they've been on a hot streak and now they're rolling into Washington with, a fantastic performance on their back. Brock Purdy just threw 4 picks. I'm going to go 49ers 38, which is still a ridiculous number. Commanders. Yeah, I'll give them 13. I'll give them a touchdown and 2 field goals. Our next game, though, is the game. Just kidding. That's the next one. But Panthers-Jaguars. It's important for Jacksonville. That's it. That's all it is. This game's important for Jacksonville, and that's it. The Panthers suck. They're 0-8 on the road. The Jaguars, not great at home. 3-5 at home is very bad for a team that might win this division. They got to figure some things out. Trevor's obviously got banged up. And Etienne hasn't been fantastic. I thought he was, making a turn for the better, and then he just has another stinker. He just kind of keeps doing that. I don't trust this offense to just take over, but I do trust them to beat the Panthers. So we'll just keep it brief here. I'm going to go Jags. Jags 27, Panthers 7. I'm going for no, I don't think it's going to be that wide of a margin. I'm going to go Jags 21, Panthers 13. Yeah, I think that's more comfortable of a number. I'm realizing I gave every team a touchdown this week. We'll see if I regret that. But 2 more games in the 1 o'clock slate, and this is the game. This is the game of the week. This is the one to watch. Don't know why it's at 1 p.m., considering we have flex scheduling. Don't ask. But Dolphins, Ravens. The Dolphins 11-4. The Ravens 12-3. A chance for the Dolphins to clinch the AFC East and potentially get home field advantage for all of the AFC playoff games. This one's huge for the Dolphins. It's also huge for the Ravens. If the Ravens get this win, they move to 13-4. Certainly makes them look like the best team in the league. But let's talk about how good the Ravens actually are this season. Like, it flew under the radar for the first couple of weeks. But now it's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what the deal is. So, the Ravens are amazing. Like, unprecedentedly, I don't even know if that's a word. They're amazing. They have not trailed by more than 7 points at any point this season. And we've played 16 games. Or 15 games. Let me just say that again. They have not trailed by more than 7 points in 15 games this season. That is absurd. But they also have 7 wins by 14 or more points this season, and all of those opponents are currently above 500. You have the game against Houston, Cleveland, Detroit, Seattle, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and of course, the San Francisco 49ers, which is the huge one. And no team in NFL history has had more than 5 regular season wins by 14-plus points against teams to finish that season with a winning record. That is absurd, and it gets better. The Ravens have faced 2 of the NFL's 4 teams with 11 wins this season, and they beat them, the Lions, 38-6, and the 49ers, 33-19. And now Baltimore owns the best record in the NFL, and they face another one of those 11-win teams in the Miami Dolphins. It's going to be one hell of a game, no matter which way you put it. The Dolphins are great. They have the most explosive offense we've maybe ever seen. They scored 70 points in a game. Tua has been fantastic. Over 4,000 passing yards. He's got 26 touchdowns, and he's limited the picks all the way down to 10 picks this season. And then Mostert has been amazing. I think he broke the franchise record for touchdowns in a season by a single player, wide receiver or running back. He's got 209 carries for over 1,000 rushing yards this season. He's one of the best yards per carry guys in the NFL. And then you put him with Tyreek Hill. 106 receptions, 1,641 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Just an absolute beast. He is the target on this team, and he's really going to be the target this week because it's very, very likely they will not have Jalen Waddle in this game. Not a good sign. What's also not a good sign is that this Ravens defense genuinely just hurts people. Like, they're not just good. They hurt people. Week 6, Ryan Tannehill, high ankle sprain. Week 10, Deshaun Watson, fractured shoulder. Week 11, Joe Burrow, torn wrist ligament. Week 15, Trevor Lawrence, concussion. And then if we want to count it, Week 16, Brock Purdy came out of the game, hurt his hand, I think. Seemed like kind of just a cop-out for throwing 4 picks. Whatever. Still, they hurt people. Like, this is football. I'll tell you what, this Ravens team plays football, in case you weren't aware. And I think they're going to win this football game. I think they're going to win 24-21. Not that high scoring, nothing crazy. The Ravens just have the defense to stop the Dolphins from scoring, I believe. They have a fast secondary. I'm pretty sure Kyle Hamilton got hurt last week. Pending. This final score is pending. He was not a participant at Wednesday's practice. Okay, that's not good. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Oh, Zay Flowers didn't practice Thursday. Oh. Okay. I have reassessed. The Ravens are still winning. The Dolphins can't beat teams over 500, especially not on the road. They're 4-3 on the road. Give me the Ravens still. Yeah, I still like it. 24-21. Give me the Ravens. All right, next game, final game of the 1 o'clocks. Titans, Texans. Obviously, the Titans suck. 5 wins this season. They're 1-6 on the road. They're bad. They're real bad. I think their only win on the road, I think, is the Panthers. I don't even know if that game was on the road. But they suck. I can assure you of that. They certainly are not good at football. Sorry, their only road win was the Dolphins. Whatever. That's weird. But the Texans, you have a questionable CJ Stroud. Nico Collins was pretty limited last week. He should be full go this week. They're kind of creeping back. If Stroud's here for this game, which I should probably check the injury report on that one before I get too deep into the analysis. Let's see. I don't see anything, which is possibly a good sign. Let's see. Texans injury report. CJ Stroud, cleared concussion protocol, full practice Thursday. Okay, we're getting CJ this week. That's big. That's huge. Okay, yeah, I'm fully confident in the Texans now. Yeah, the rookie of the year is back on the field. Nico Collins, fully back on the field. I like it now. Let's go. Let's go. Texans 20. Texans 27. Titans 17. A 10-point victory for the Titans. The Texans over their division rival and giving them a chance to continue fighting for that AFC South title, which is currently a 3-way tie. All right, 4 o'clock games. We'll start off Steelers, Seahawks. Mason Rudolph remaining the starter for the Steelers, but the Seahawks, I believe Geno Smith is back in the lineup because he did tweet earlier today, I believe, free 3. Obviously 3 being Geno Smith. Yeah, I believe he's back, but a lot of guys a little banged up on the offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba, a little bit banged up. Same goes for Jake Bobo, Noah Fant, Damian Lewis, and Anthony Bradford on the line, also a little bit banged up. Look, I don't know what's going to happen here. I have a feeling the Seahawks win. Steelers just, I know they win games. They're 8-7. Oh, it's so tough. Like, they dominated the Bengals, which just still blows my mind. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, they beat the Bengals 34-11. But also, I still don't trust this offense. Like, Pickens had one of the craziest games I've ever watched, for sure. I still don't know how I feel about him though. I'm gonna stick with the Seahawks solely for the purpose of the 12th man. It's at Lumen Field this week. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be like cloudy, overcast, 48 degrees. What it says right now on ESPN. Yeah, I'm going Seahawks. Purely home field advantage. I'm going to take the Seahawks 21, Steelers 17. Actually, no. Steelers 13. Only one touchdown for him. Mason Rudolph lost the Christmas magic. All right. Chargers, Broncos. Crazy stuff from the Broncos. They benched Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been benched for the remainder of the season. Jarrett Stidham will take his place as the starting quarterback. And Russell Wilson is going to get cut after the season's over. What the what happened? What changed from what we were seeing? They were letting Russ cook. That's what I was under the impression of. Thought Russ was cooking. Not last week. Last week was bad. I'll admit it. Last week was bad. The last 2 weeks were bad. 42-17 against the Lions, and then you lose to the Patriots. Yeah, tough. I guess it's a money thing. They insist it's a football decision, but apparently Russell Wilson's been aware of this for 2 months, so it doesn't seem like a football decision. Just to add more to the story, the Broncos allegedly threatened to bench Wilson after his performance and win, a great performance, and a win over the Chiefs, if he did not remove the injury guarantees from his contract because of the dead cap or some kind of money move that would affect him this season. And then Wilson, his camp, and the NFLPA negotiated with the Broncos, and they decided not to make changes to the contract. Now, a couple months later, he's been benched for the final 2 games of the season, and they're going to cut him. I get that it saves them money in some roundabout, fucked up NFL loophole way. It's ridiculous to be benching your starting quarterback when you're 7-8. You have a chance to make the playoffs right now because of money in the offseason. And I get it. The Broncos would owe him $37 million in cash, and they would have a record $85 million in dead money spread over the next 2 years if they cut Russ. I get it. But it's football first. Football, financials. They're separate in my eyes. This is the NFL. This is literally the greatest institution of football ever in the world. This is the one. And we're benching. I'm not going to say he's been amazing this season. We're benching a guy who's got better numbers this year than Patrick Mahomes. I'll put that out there. You guys can do your own research. This guy's literally been playing better than Patrick Mahomes. This team has turned it around for sure. I know these last 2 losses have been bad. But if you're benching a guy over money rather than how he is producing on the field, you got to be looked into. That's some shady shit going on in the organization. Like, if they really threaten to bench him over a clause that they put as an organization into his contract, it's their fault. You can't threaten a guy for something that was your fault, your wrongdoing. You shouldn't have, first of all, you should not have signed him to that lucrative of a deal. And second of all, if you didn't want to be in this situation, you shouldn't have traded for him. End of story. I get it. There's a lot of upside to a guy like Russell Wilson looking, 2 years ago. But come on. Like, the contract was ridiculous at the time. It's ridiculous to this day. But you can't hold it against the guy for taking it. That's my problem. I can't be on the side of the Broncos here. Russell Wilson's getting screwed just because they want to save money and Sean Payton doesn't like him. I think that's ridiculous. But when it comes to what happens in this game, Jarrett Stidham had one hell of a run last year. I would like to point that out, and the Chargers suck. They really suck. I will say. They do have some good things going for them. A lot of those things keep getting injured, but there are good things. Obviously, Keenan Allen injured. That's their good thing. That's the best thing on the Chargers, Keenan Allen. And didn't participate on Thursday practice, so that's not a great sign. And neither did Joshua Palmer, who had a concussion. Also not a great sign, considering Mike Williams is out for the season. Man. Yeah, the Chargers have no chance. Even against Jarrett Stidham, they have no chance. I'm going to go pretty low scoring, though. I'm going to go Broncos 17, Chargers 7. Yeah, the Chargers still suck, despite firing their head coach. All right, next game. One of the more exciting ones as well of the week, Bengals-Chiefs. Obviously, the legend of Jake Browning continues. But after that horrible, horrible loss to the Steelers, can they bounce back against this Chiefs team, a 9-6 Chiefs team that simply needs to change some things? They started off this season so hot. They were 6-1. And then they lost to the Broncos, and everybody thought it was over. And then they beat the Dolphins, and it's like, okay, now we're back. And then they lose to the Eagles. Everybody thinks it's over. They bounce back. They beat the Raiders. It's the next ones that hurt. It's the loss to the Packers, the loss to the Bills. Not the best win against the Patriots. Now a loss to the Raiders 3 weeks before this season's over. You can't tell me that this Chiefs team looks remotely close to the team that won the Super Bowl last year. And a lot of it comes down to the offense. This offense has sucked. They lead the NFL in dropped passes, if you couldn't guess. And it just seems like things need to change. Travis Kelce has not had his best season. Patrick Mahomes has thrown 14 interceptions. 14 interceptions for Patrick Mahomes this season. It's crazy. They have no running game. Pacheco's in and out of the lineup, getting hurt, not hurt. Clyde Edwards-Helaire's a bum. Jerick McKinnon is a bum. Like, there's no run game. Kadarius Toney's a bum. Rashee Rice has a game here and there. It's bad. The Chiefs are bad. Luckily, they have one hell of a defense. L'Jarius Sneed is amazing. Locks every week. I like other guys on that defense. Obviously, Chris Jones is a dog. Nick Bolton is a dog. Are they good enough to beat this Bengals team right now? Vegas says so. 7-point favorite over this Bengals team, but Jamar Chase might be back. That's something to look for. Even if L'Jarius Sneed's on Jamar Chase, it's something to look for if he's back in the lineup, because T. Higgins has looked fantastic in his absence. And let's be honest, if you're a wide receiver and you're going up, let me rephrase this. If your number one wide receiver is in the game and you're going up against the Chiefs, you should feel pretty good if T. Higgins is right behind him, because he's not getting covered by L'Jarius Sneed. And if they do put him on him, one of the best wide receivers in the game is going to be open, because Jamar is always open. We know that for a fact. He has made it very, very clear he's always open. So don't worry about him not wanting to catch the ball. If T. Higgins can have a good game while Jamar Chase is on the field, the Bengals will win this football game. I trust Jake Browning enough to do that. Joe Mixon might need to help him out a little bit. That's a lot to ask for from Joe Mixon. I'll say that. Man, predictions, though, it's tough to go against that 7-point spread, man. It is, but I do not like the Chiefs offense at all, and I like this Bengals offense. I like that Jamar is likely going to be playing in this game. I'm going to go Bengals 24, Chiefs 20. I just don't trust the Chiefs to put up a lot of points. I know the Bengals don't have the best defense, but I trust the offense more than I trust the Chiefs' offense. So, yeah, I'm taking the Bengals. All right, Sunday Night Football, the conclusion of Week 16. You won't miss anything for Monday's episode next week. We'll cover everything. until we inevitably forget to give you a final update on Sunday Night Football, as we do every time. But Packers, Vikings, big one for seeding because they're both still in the picture. They're both 7-8. They sit ahead of the Saints and the Falcons and the Bears, of course, as teams in the race. But a Packers win this week puts them at a 56% chance to make it in. A Vikings win this week puts them at a 50% chance to make it in. They are both not only bagging on a victory in this game, but a loss for either the Rams or the Seahawks or both. Look, they really, really need something here. If the Packers can win this game and the Rams lose to the Giants, which I don't think is going to happen, we already talked about that game. If they do, they have the tiebreak over them in head-to-head. The Packers would have a playoff spot. It's not that simple. It's not easy to beat the Vikings. Vikings are, we'll say, starting Jaron Hall. And the Packers are suspending Jair Alexander for a game. That one's questionable. Jair Alexander, in case you didn't realize, went out as a captain, called the coin toss, almost fucked it up, and was a fourth captain that was not selected by Coach Matt LaFleur. And Jair, trying to reason for his actions of simply breaking the rules and almost fucking his team over, said, "I'm from Charlotte," while playing the Panthers. So you just thought you were a captain and you could just go out for the coin toss. That's absurd. The suspension was for conduct detrimental to the team or whatever. That is textbook conduct detrimental to the team. Like, imagine he went out there and said, "We want to kick," rather than "we defer," whatever. If he said, "We want to kick," they would just kick off both halves. Like, that's how important it is to say the right thing at the coin toss. So coaches think about that heavily when they're doing this stuff. It's not just like a joke. None of it is. Like, you actually have to do the right thing at the coin toss. If Jair Alexander went out there and messed it up, he could have totally screwed his team in a game that they needed everything it took to win. I understand the suspension. I think it was something simply dumb. That was a dumb move by Jair Alexander. I'll say that. But back to the Vikings. They're starting Jaron Hall. They're sitting Nick Mullins. So another change. We saw Jaron Hall briefly start a game, which started Josh Dobbs' insanity run for the Vikings. But Jaron Hall's good. He's a rookie. He was relatively highly touted coming out of college. I actually kind of liked him when we talked, about the draft and all that. He was kind of a sneaky quarterback to look at. I like him. I think he's got a chance to play well in this game, especially with Jair Alexander out of the game. But TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL and MCL last week, and he will miss the remainder of the season. That does not help. Some things are on their side, though. The Packers are 2-5 at US Bank Stadium. Not good at all for the Packers. But then you look on the other side, the Vikings cannot hold a lead. They have led in all of their 8 losses this season. That is not good. And they're only a 1-point favorite in this game. I like the Packers, man. I love that offense. I do. I've talked about it multiple weeks in a row. I love Jordan Love. I think Christian Watson might be finding his way back into the team this week. But Jaden Reed is one of my favorite rookies this season, though he's not going to be like a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's had a great year, and I think he's a very fun player to watch. But Romeo Doubs is great. The tight ends, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, both rookies, both great. And then, of course, you have the tandem, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. They just kind of do things, man. Sometimes they just do things, and it is amazing to witness. I'm going to go with the Packers. Do I know why? Not really. Do I think they're going to win? Yes. I'm going to take the Packers 23 to 21. 23-21. Game-winning field goal. Give me that final outcome as well. Game-winning field goal for the Packers from, what's his name? Anders Carlson, I think is his name. But yeah, that's no Monday night game. So that will be NFL Week 17. The definitive outcomes of Week 17 right here, right now, before they even happen. Let's go ahead and get a little playoff picture update, just in case you're wondering on kind of where we're at going into these final 2 weeks of the season. So, on the AFC side, only 2 teams have clinched a spot in the playoff. It'd be the Ravens and the Dolphins. Then, all the teams after them. You've got the first place team in the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs. They win this game this week. They clinch the division. They make it in for sure. The Jags at 8-7 lead the AFC South, which they are tied with the Colts and the Texans for the next spot in their division. And if the Jags win this game against Carolina, they have an 81% chance of making the playoffs. Next being the Browns, the 5th seed at the moment, because the Ravens are so goddamn good. The Browns right now have a greater than 99% chance to make the playoffs, and even if they lose, have a greater than 99% chance to make the playoffs. But if they win this game, they will clinch the playoffs at 11-5 going into week 18. So a big win over the Jets this week would be huge for the Browns, being one of the best teams in the NFL right now. But excuse me. But your next team in the AFC, the Bills. The Bills in an interesting spot. We talked about how they do have a chance to win the division. Not a great one, but they have a chance nonetheless. And if they win this game, they go to a 97% chance of making the playoffs. So essentially shoot in. If they move to 10-6 this week, they'll make the playoffs. They lose, real tough sledding. 9-7 is not a lock. And obviously 9-8 really isn't. Right now, they're at an 88% chance to make the playoffs by NFL Next Gen Stats. If they lose, they'll go down to a 46%. Not where you want to be. You always want to be over 50% when we're talking about making the playoffs. But the Colts right behind them have an interesting chance to really shake things up. They sit in 7th place right now. They have the final spot in their pocket. But it's still not certain. They could win against the Raiders this week, which tremendously helps them because that would put the Raiders at 7-9, pretty much erasing them out of the playoff chances, which they don't have a great chance, but they would be erased from the playoff race. That would be huge, of course. But also, they need to hope that the Texans lose games. They need to hope that the Jags lose games because the Colts, if they win this week and the Jags somehow get upset by the Panthers, they're winning this division. All of the sudden. A lot rides on the Colts winning out. For the Colts, at least, obviously. And I think they've got a great chance to do so. They're a good team, and they play good football. Their remaining 2 teams, obviously the Raiders this week, and then the Texans. They go head-to-head. They want the Texans to lose this week badly. They want the Texans to lose this week really badly because you don't want the fate of your season relying on Week 18. Simply. I don't know what will happen, but like we just talked about, on the bubble, the Texans. The Texans at number 8. Then you have the Bengals who, with that loss to the Steelers, really screwed up. Really screwed them up. They could be sitting pretty with the Bills and the Browns in a wild card spot. Instead, they're down here with the lowly Steelers that they just lost to and the Texans. The Bengals are an interesting case, man, because if they win, they'll have a fantastic chance to jump the Colts and make it in. You lose, Doesn't look good. It actually looks extremely bad. 8-8, not where you want to be if you want to make the playoffs. The Steelers, right after the Bengals, they have no chance. I'm going to be honest. Like, I know they have a chance. They have no chance. And then you have the Raiders and the Broncos, who both really don't have a great chance of making it in. And then your eliminated teams at the moment, the Patriots, Chargers, Titans, and Jets. On the NFC side, maybe more interesting, less interesting. More teams have clinched. Obviously, 4 teams have clinched. The 49ers, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Cowboys. The 49ers clinched their division. The Lions have clinched their division, both of them at 11-4. Eagles, real damn close to clinching the division. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Eagles, real damn close to clinching their division, and the Cowboys would need the Eagles to lose and blah, blah, blah to clinch their division. Whatever. They've got the 5 seed right now. Your next 3 teams that can make the playoff, Bucks, or whoever wins the NFC South, because it's just a clusterfuck. The Rams, who are the 6th seed right now, but have to win. Genuinely have to win. Right now, their playoff chances are a 66%. If they win, they go to an 87%. If they lose, they go all the way down to a 26% chance to make the playoffs. Not good. Seahawks in a similar boat as well. They're 3rd in the NFC West right now, only on the tiebreaker. So they sit in 7th simply on a technicality. They currently have a 69% chance of making the playoff. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. The Steelers are playing to make the playoff. It's crazy. It is. I think the Steelers win, which would put them to an 87% chance. They lose, they go down to a 40% chance. Because the teams waiting on the outside, there's quite a few. There's 4 teams sitting on the outside, just a game behind both of these teams. The Vikings, the Packers, the Saints, the Falcons, all of them, just a game behind, trying to make it in with 2 to play. The Saints and the Falcons, oddly enough, the Saints are technically the 10 seed in the playoff, but they're 3rd in the NFC South, while the Falcons are the 11 seed and they're 2nd in the NFC South. I don't know how that works, I'll be honest. But the Falcons have a better chance of winning the division. The Saints have a better chance of just making the playoffs. Probably because they're about to play the Buccaneers. The Packers and the Vikings, one of them is essentially going to be knocking the other one out of the playoffs this week. One of them is going to move to 7-9. One of them is going to be moving to 8-8. They have a good chance to do so. Like I said, I like the Packers. I want them to make it in. If the Packers lose, they're fucked. If the Vikings lose, they're fucked. The Saints lose, the Falcons lose, whatever. They're all fucked. The Bears sit down here with nothing. They have a less than 1% chance of making the playoffs right now. If they win, it goes to 1%. If they lose, they're eliminated. Not a great chance. Don't even need to talk about the Bears. So, lot to look out for. There is some tie-breaking procedures or whatever. I'm not going to go through that kind of stuff. But there's a whole lot of stuff to look out for in these last 2 weeks of the NFL. So enjoy yourselves because it is going to be one hell of a time. And speaking of one hell of a time, let's talk about some MLB free agency stuff. A lot of stuff happening. Obviously, we were going to do our top 5 catchers, I believe, this week. Or maybe left field. I can't remember. One of the 2 we were supposed to be doing, but with Luke being sick, kind of axed that idea. And I decided that we'll delay the catchers to next week. And I'll just kind of update our free agency landing spots. Me and Colin did these a little while ago, and it was pretty fun to look at. So obviously, with so many signings already occurring, Yamamoto, Ohtani, all those guys off the board. Plenty of other guys off the board as well. We're going to go through the best of the rest. We're going to talk about where I think the guy will go and where I want them to go. So, obviously, I'm not going to be as biased as you'd think. I'm not just going to be like, yeah, I want him on the Braves. I want him on the Braves. I want him on the Braves. I think I only picked one guy that I want on the Braves, and I don't think I picked a single guy that I think will go to the Braves. So I'm not biased. Just want to put that out there. But I think I've got 10 guys here on the list, and we're just going to rattle them off. So we'll start with Cody Bellinger, the best available hitter, according to CBS Sports. They think, I think he's going to go to the Cubs. I think he's going back to the Cubs. The Cubs are the only team in the MLB that has not acquired a player via free agency or trade this entire offseason. And considering they just spent $5 million a year to get a manager, you might think they were going to spend some money. Obviously, everybody said they were in on the Ohtani sweepstakes, but I don't know if they were ever really a contender. I know they're a historic franchise. I don't think they had the allure of a winning situation like Ohtani wanted. So I feel like they have to get Bellinger back. He can play center field. He can play corner outfield. He can play first. He's a great DH. And he really proved something on a prove-it deal last year. Place I want him to go is the Cincinnati Reds. I don't think they're really in the market to be spending that kind of money right now. But I'd love for them to do it. They need a power-hitting outfielder. Me and Colin talked about this dilemma the other day. I think maybe we recommended Rhys Hoskins. I can't quite remember who it was that we talked about potentially going to the Reds and that we liked them going there. But I want Belly there. I think you could put him in center. Like I said, you could put him in the corner outfield. You could DH. You could first base, whatever. They need the power-hitting outfielder. They need a power-hitting lefty. This just seems like the perfect match. Cody Bellinger seems like the perfect match. The only issue would be the financials. That's why I don't think he will go there, but it is the place I'd like him to be. Moving on. Matt Chapman, best third base, best infielder available in free agency. I think with the Blue Jays missing out on Shohei and not likely to spend the money that would be required to get Bellinger, they're going to try and bring back Chapman. It's the best option they have. He's still an elite glove. He's a great hitter. Why not try to bring him back? Now, the issue is we're a couple months in a free agency now. Doesn't seem like anything's happened on that side. I still think he's going back there, though. A lot of times, if you're going to re-sign with a team, you already knew it, or you're going to find out real late. It just seems that way. It seems like the guys that re-sign, like Nola, re-signs immediately. Maybe a guy like Bellinger or Chapman. I just think they're going to go back to where they were. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like other teams are going to entice them as much, especially for Chapman. I don't know what it is about him. It just doesn't seem like there's an enticing landing spot for him outside of staying with the Blue Jays. But I want him to go to the Giants. I want the Giants to be good again, if that makes any sense. It's a franchise that was great as I kind of got more and more in-depth fan of baseball. The Giants were good. And obviously, Florida State guy, connection to Buster Posey. Not on the team anymore, but absolutely love Buster Posey. I like to see the Giants be good. And they're going to have to be really good. You have to build one hell of a team to beat out the Dodgers. Nobody's going to beat them in that division. Doesn't matter. But if you want to contend, you got to build a good lineup. And I think it starts with defense. Matt Chapman supplies you defense, and he supplies you a good bat at third base. You can't ask for much more at third base than what you get with Matt Chapman. You know, he's going to give you the best glove at third base in the league. He's going to give you one of the best bats. He proved it last year. He proves it every single year over and over and over again. So, Matt Chapman, I want you to go to the Giants. I think you'll re-sign with the Blue Jays. But let's get into some pitching. That's the hot button issue. A lot of your top guys left are pitchers because they were kind of waiting for the dominoes to fall with Ohtani and Yamamoto. They have fallen now. Blake Snell is one that is very interesting case for sure. An Cy Young winner in 2023. But he was on a really bad team, and he did not have the best start to the season. He just turned things around amazingly. He needs to go somewhere where he can not only be number one in the rotation, just to fuel his ego, I guess, but also make some money. It needs to be a team that's always willing to spend money on pitching. This team is always willing to get one pitcher. I think he's going to the Angels. They've shown a ton of interest in him. It seems like a good place for him. Joins up with some good players. Probably not going to win anything. I hate to say, but if you do find yourself in a playoff spot, this guy's got World Series experience. The place I want him to go is the Giants, though. The Angels aren't exciting. They're not going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to kid myself there. The Giants would be enticing. I know. Seems like I'm rooting for the Giants a lot here. It just kind of makes sense to me. I think the Giants works for Blake Snell. I think California is the place for Blake Snell. Obviously, played for the Padres last year. I think he's going to go to the Angels. I want him to go to the Giants. I obviously like California for Blake Snell. It just seems right. It just does. A very good left-handed starter for the Giants. Helps them out a ton. It seems like a good move, in my eyes, at least. So, yeah, I think I want him to go to the Giants. Something tells me he ends up with the Angels. More importantly, the best closer in the whole free agency. I'm not going to say whole league. There's some guys to dispute for. Josh Hader is a free agent. Now, I'd love to say that I think he's going to the Braves, and then I want him on the Braves. But realistically, if we get a closer or a reliever, we have to ship off Minter or Iglesias, and I don't want that to happen as much as I am tired of their inconsistencies, primarily Iglesias. So I reserved to myself. I stopped it. I stopped my Braves bias from getting in the way here. And not only do I think he will go here, I want him to go here. Josh Hader to the Rangers seems like the best one. Their issue all the way through last season was the closers. Their bullpen almost single-handedly took them out of the playoff race. Aroldis, Leclerc, numerous other guys in that bullpen really screwed things up for them. Josh Hader does not screw up. He doesn't. Yeah, maybe he gave up a walk-off homer to Freddie Freeman. Yeah, sure. Guys do that sometimes. He don't give up 6 runs. I can assure you of that. Josh Hader does not give up 6. You can probably look it up. He's probably never given up 6 runs in a relief appearance. But the Rangers just seems like the best fit because a World Series team always loses players. They need to bring one in. Hader is the guy for the Rangers to bring in for that bullpen because that was their issue the whole time. If they want an easier route to winning a World Series this year, win more games. And you win more games with strong relief pitching. Josh Hader is the place to find it. So I think Hader to the Rangers. But let's go 2 more starters. We got Marcus Stroman first. I've got the reverse of Snell here. I think he'll go to the Giants, but I want him to go to the Angels. Marcus Stroman doesn't seem like the kind of pitcher that should be pitching in a huge market. I don't know why I think that way, but he doesn't seem like it. I think like when he was in New York, it seemed like the media got to him. Now, when he was with the Cubs, it seemed like everything was sunshine and rainbows till it wasn't, and then the media turned on him because the Giants not the Giants, the Cubs are a giant franchise in the MLB. I think the Giants works for him. Giants were pretty damn good at limiting home runs. It's a hitter-friendly, okay. You're not going to give up a ton of home runs at Oracle Park. I still wouldn't call it pitcher-friendly, but the guy doesn't give up fly balls. That's the great thing about him. He's a ground ball pitcher, doesn't give up a lot of home runs. That works well with this Giants team. I want him to go to the Angels because they need pitching. that's that's the big thing. They need pitching. Stroman's consistent. Stroman's not some blow you away fastball guy. He's a ground ball pitcher, and he does a great job at it. Yeah, he can have some strikeout games, but he's a ground ball pitcher at heart. He does a good job at it. He limits the runs. He can limit the ERA pretty low. And he actually has a solid glove on the mound. I know people don't really talk about that when you're talking free agent pitchers, but Stroman does have a good glove on the mound. So I think he'll go to the Giants. I want him to go to the Angels. Jordan Montgomery is a different one, though, because it seems like the market for him is crazy. Obviously, World Series champion, the best pitcher of the postseason for that team. It just doesn't seem like he's going back. This is their okay, I'll give you a Braves example. This is their Freddie Freeman. Helped them win this World Series. Wipe off his hands. Leave him out. They're done. Whatever. Leave him in the dust. Jordan Montgomery is amazing. And I think he'd be reluctant to return to the Yankees. That's the reports I've been seeing is the Yankees. I think he would not want to go back. Maybe because the beard helps him pitch better. That's just a conspiracy of mine. But also because the media is just assholes in New York. And for a starting pitcher, it's not a lot of fun. There's plenty of examples to tell you why. Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, thus far, the last couple of years. But plenty of guys just get berated by the media in New York. Don't know if Jordan Montgomery wants to go through that bullshit again because they certainly got after him quite a bit. I think he's going to go to the Phillies. I think the Phillies are pissed off about how that playoff performance went. They bring back Nola. They still have Wheeler. There was a significant drop-off after. And I know. Look, they beat the Braves. Blah, blah, blah. Ranger Suarez. You couldn't even get a hit off him. I get it. Ranger Suarez should not be your third option in your rotation in the playoffs. At all. Not at all. If the Phillies could go out and get Jordan Montgomery, they would be unstoppable. That's 3 wins every 5 games. Just about. Like, those guys are fantastic pitchers. They just have to go out and do it. Because I think the Red Sox were a team that was interested. They just simply couldn't fork up the money. The Yankees, of course, interested, but I don't know if Montgomery wants to return there. So I think he'll go to the Phillies. I want him to go to the Braves. This is my one that I want to be biased about. I want Jordan Montgomery bad. I want him bad. Are we going to get him? Probably not. But I certainly want him because I want starting pitching. And we're not talking about trade guys, but obviously I want Dylan Cease the most as a Georgia guy, but Jordan Montgomery will certainly do if they would like to go out and get him. So Alex Anthopoulos, since I know you're a huge fan of the show, go ahead, just slide some money Jordan Montgomery's way. Trust, it'll work out. All right, our next guy though, Rhys Hoskins. He's a weird one because I don't know if people actually want him, and I don't know how MLB teams regard him. I don't regard him all that highly. Last year, tore his ACL, like first game of the season. It was done from there. He was never fast. Speed was never an issue. It still hurts a guy to tear his ACL no matter what position he plays. I would assume, coming off of that injury, he's going to want to play more first base and DH than he did in the past. I think that hurts his value. I think that hurts what teams want him. So, I think he'll go to the Mariners. The Mariners just kind of need to keep adding bats wherever they can. They added Mitch Garver. It gives them an option at catcher. It gives them an option at DH. But if you get Hoskins, which I think would be a great move, you could put Ty France at DH a little bit more. You could put Hoskins at first base. Hoskins can still play corner outfield. I just don't know how great he's going to be coming off an ACL injury. But I think he would be a huge contributor to the Mariners. He wouldn't cost as much money as some of the other guys, and he could play some DH, he could play some first base, whatever you need. I'd like him to go there. I want him to go to the Cubs. I think he addresses a similar issue to Cody Bellinger, and he doesn't cost nearly as much. Obviously, Rhys Hoskins is not as good as Cody Bellinger. Put him on a prove-it deal, see if he does what Bellinger did last year. Or don't run that test, and whatever happens with Bellinger. I just think that Rhys Hoskins is pretty similar. Obviously, he's not going to play center field. Throw him out in right, he's serviceable. Throw him out in left, he's serviceable. Put him at first base, he'll play a good first base. Put him at DH, he'll hit some bombs for you. That's how Rhys Hoskins operates, and he's not going to cost you $200 million. That's the moral of the story here. Rhys Hoskins does not cost $200 million. So you might be safer financially. Then you can go out and get some pitching. Then you can go out and do some other things. I think Rhys Hoskins, if the Cubs want to get somebody that covers those holes at first base and in center field, well, I guess not center field, just the outfield in general, Hoskins would be the guy to fill that hole in my eyes because you save money and you can put it elsewhere. So I think he'll go to the Mariners. I want him to go to the Cubs. Jorge Soler. I don't know why. I think he's going to the Blue Jays. I've seen them linked just a little bit. The Blue Jays probably need a DH unless they're going to pick up a first baseman and move Vlad to DH more. I don't know. I like Jorge to the Blue Jays. There's just something about it. Seems right. It seems like they just need power. Like, obviously, Vlad Guerrero Jr. supplies you all the power you probably need. But if he's going to hit, 250 or less, maybe he doesn't because you're not getting that power all that often. And Bo Bichette's not a power guy. You lost Simeon last year or 2 years ago. Can't remember. If Matt Chapman leaves too, you're really going to be missing some power. You need Jorge Soler. And he can play some outfield. People kind of box him in as a DH. He could play some left field. He's got a decent arm on him too. I think Jorge Soler would be great for the Blue Jays. So I think he'll go to the Blue Jays, but I want him to go to the D-backs. I think that would be a very enticing move. He can, like I said, he can play left field, he can play DH. He would supply this team with a much-needed 35 to 40 home run guy. Obviously, Christian Walker had a fantastic season last year. But if you pile that on top, like they didn't have a cemented DH, and me and Colin talked about that a bit, saying that JD Martinez might go to the D-backs. I like Jorge Soler. And for some reason, now I feel like JD Martinez might have just already gone back to them, and I'm just dumb. No, it was Lourdes Gurriel that has gone back to them. Right? Yeah. Lourdes Gurriel re-signed with the D-backs, so I'm not losing my mind. So yeah, look, Lourdes Gurriel is going to lock down left field. So Soler doesn't have to play left field. But as a DH, even if he's there every single day, he's going to contribute. He's going to hit 30-plus home runs, and he's going to help you guys run it back in the playoffs. This D-backs team is not giving up. They've made great moves. Bringing back Lourdes Gurriel, the first one. The best move they've made, Eduardo Rodriguez, is a fantastic addition to this rotation. You cannot sleep on that move. If they bring in Soler, they have now added 3 guys that I think make a huge impact on this team, on the offense and in the pitching. Go out, get some more relievers, do whatever you need. I think there's a very good potential for a great things to happen with the D-backs if they go out and get Soler. So, think he'll go to the Blue Jays. Want him to go to the D-backs. Got 2 more guys left. 1 position player, 1 pitcher. We'll start with the position player. It's Tim Anderson. So the White Sox declined his option, makes him a free agent. He's at a career low in value, for sure. Tim Anderson sucked last year. Does that mean that's going to carry over? No. Is it going to scare some teams from picking him up? I'm sure it will. But there's one team that likes to gamble. And there's one team that really just needs a good free agent signing because they've really missed out on him. And I guess it's my new favorite team, the Giants. I think and I want him to go to the Giants. They need a shortstop. Brandon Crawford, you can't bring back Brandon Crawford. It's enough. I've seen enough. I get it. He's a great glove. Good God, is that man slow? And he certainly cannot hit anymore. Please move on from him. He's a free agent. Don't bring him back unless it's for depth. Please go out and just get Tim Anderson. IKF's off the market. He got signed by the Blue Jays. Just go get Tim Anderson, please. And thank you. I think it'll help a ton, especially if you get Chapman. Chapman and Tim Anderson into this Giants team would genuinely make them a team to be looked at as a playoff contender. Honestly. Oh, all right. Our pitcher, our final pitcher, has been a hot topic. People don't seem to ever think he's going to leave. Clayton Kershaw. I also don't think he's going to leave. I think he's going to go to the Dodgers. But I really want him to go to the Rangers. Yeah, obviously, I don't really need to explain why I think he'll go to the Dodgers. He spent his entire career there. He's become one of the best pitchers of this generation with the Dodgers. But he's a Texas boy. Lives there in the offseason. He loves Texas through and through. The Rangers just make too much sense. Really, they do. It makes too much sense for him to go to the Rangers. And I would love it so much if he went to the Rangers. Imagine Jacob deGrom, Clayton Kershaw, and Max Scherzer on the same team. Especially if they sucked. Oh my God, it'd be the best thing ever. If that rotation sucked, it would be awesome. So I like Kershaw's chances of going to the Rangers. I just don't know if he'll pull the trigger. I think it'll be hard for him to double cross the organization of the Dodgers and go somewhere else. Especially at this point in his career. You might as well either retire with the Dodgers or I guess keep playing with them. That's really your only option. So I think he goes back to the Dodgers, but I want him to go to the Rangers because I would love that storyline to come to fruition. So that's all of them that I've got. I'm not going to go through any more. So now let's go across the pond, talk about some Premier League soccer. Obviously, I'm missing out on my expertise that I have when Luke is here, but I kind of know what I'm talking about. So let's get into a couple of the big games. Obviously, we have so much soccer going on. I think there's a match literally going on right now as we speak. I think it's Arsenal West Ham at the moment. Go. Oh, you scrolled me all the way down this page. Maybe? No, I think okay, never mind. Maybe that match is over. Whatever. Yeah, it's over. Whoa, West Ham won 2-0 over Arsenal. That's crazy. Okay, well, let's talk about Spurs Bournemouth. It's a big matchup. Bournemouth, one of the hottest teams in the league right now, just been soaring up the table. I believe they've won their last 4, unbeaten in quite a few matches now. Unbeaten in their last 7 matches. Since that 2-0 win over Newcastle, they beat Sheffield United, they drew Aston Villa, they beat Crystal Palace, they beat Man U, they beat Nottingham Forest, and they beat Fulham. Bournemouth's hot, and Tottenham is very much not. I know we talked about how they started to make the turnaround. They lost to Chelsea, and then that kind of started the downward spiral. They beat Newcastle. They beat Nottingham Forest. They beat Everton. Now it's back to losing. They lost this one today against Brighton, and I think it's a killer. I really do think it is. Brighton's a good team, for sure. they haven't been the best. They're not a team you want to be losing to right now, for sure. So Brighton gets a big win, um, much needed win. Tottenham gets the loss. Now they have to face Bournemouth. And I really do think that Bournemouth has a great chance here. Not many people are talking about the fact that Dominic Solanke, I can't remember how you say it, has 13 goals this season. That's astounding, honestly. Like when I first saw that, I was very, very surprised. They're unbeaten in 4 away matches. They're on the road in this one. They haven't lost in 7, like we talked about. And the big thing is, Tottenham's pretty goddamn good at home. They're the third best team. That's on the road. Never mind. So at home, maybe they're not quite as good. But they are 4th in goals scored per match, 2.1 goals per match for this team, as opposed to Bournemouth's 1.5. But with the form that Bournemouth is on right now, I trust them to play well. I don't think they can get a win, but I think they can get a draw. I'm going to go 2-2 draw for Tottenham versus Bournemouth on New Year's Eve. And then our next match that I'll be talking about is Liverpool versus Newcastle. Obviously, my boys need some help. They have been struggling. This one on New Year's Day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully these boys don't party because we got to be locked in. We have struggled these past couple of weeks. I genuinely cannot explain what the hell is happening right now with Newcastle, but it is not good at all. And I'm not happy, for sure. When you look at our last 5, we lost to Everton 3-0. We lost to Tottenham 4-1. We get the big win over Fulham 3-0. And then we lose to fucking Luton. We lost to Luton Town 1-0. And then we lost to Nottingham Forest 3-1 the other day. Like, these are just brutal outcomes that you simply should not see from a squad of this caliber. You look at this lineup and you can never assume they would be this bad right now. Like, we're running probably our best lineup that we can run right now, considering Joelinton wasn't in the lineup and, he just genuinely needed a break. And then, of course, Sandro Tonali is suspended. This is literally the best thing we can throw out there right now. Sven Botman's back. We have no necessary reasons to be mad at the defense, but they're still not playing well. Dubravka's still not good in goal. Sven Botman doesn't look that good since he's returned. Trippier's played well, but not quite as good as I need him to be. I need him to be creating chances, and he simply is not creating them as much as he needs to be. He does it all the time. He created 2 chances in this game. He needs to be the guy that this offense runs through, and I think the issue to me, and I know Lewis Miley's done some good things, and I know Miguel Almiron has had his moments, and he had a good game against Nottingham Forest. It just doesn't seem like Trippier works on the same side as those other 2. And I'm not trying to move Trippier, that's for sure. I just think we need to think tactically about what these guys are doing and who needs to be doing it. Because I think that with Trippier being a guy that gets the ball at his feet quite a lot for a right back, having Lewis Miley as his first passing option up the field isn't quite working. Because Lewis Miley simply just doesn't have the experience. The guy is 17 years old. I can't expect him to have the experience. I can't expect him to do everything right. But Trippier needs somebody that's more reliable right in front of him. Even if that means putting Longstaff in front of him, it doesn't matter to me. I just need something more reliable for Kieran Trippier to use to get the ball forward. Also, Anthony Gordon has been bad. It sucks, but he's not been great. I simply need him to play better. And it does suck, unfortunately, against Nottingham Forest. Chris Wood scored a fucking hat trick. I can't explain how. Obviously, the defense is to blame. I will say, Alexander Isaac, fantastic. Getting a goal. He's played really well. I can't be mad at him. there's just a couple of things I need to see better from Newcastle, and I hope it could come against Liverpool. I just, man, it's tough. I can't. I don't see that happening. It's the first team in the table. I think I'm gonna have to give Liverpool the advantage here. Mo Salah's been fantastic. These two teams have kept the same amount of clean sheets, tied for the most in the league with 7. But we both score goals. I think we both score goals in this match, but Liverpool ultimately takes it 2-1. Unfortunately, I have to pick against Newcastle here simply because of form. Look, I want to be right here, honestly. So I'm going to go with Liverpool there. And then the final match we'll talk about is West Ham versus Brighton. This caps off this is long run of a lot of matches in a very small amount of time for these Premier League teams. And I think this is a fantastic matchup. West Ham has been moving right back up the table since they kind of fell off for a little bit. They're up into 6th place now with 33 points. Brighton, obviously coming off of the big win. Excuse me. Coming off of a big win against Spurs today, but genuinely just playing pretty good soccer right now. In their last 5, they've picked up 8 points, and I think they're just kind of looking to do more. They've had a couple of disappointing outcomes. 1-1 draw against Burnley, a 2-0 loss to Arsenal, 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace. But now you get a big win over Tottenham. You score 4 goals, which has certainly got to help your confidence. And you just kind of hope to keep moving. West Ham, on the other hand, they've been playing well too. It's tough to lose 5-0 to Fulham for sure, but you have the win over Tottenham right before that loss, and then after you bounce back 3-0 against Wolves, 2-0 against Man United, 2-0 against Arsenal now, and all of a sudden you're sitting pretty in 5th place and you've got a chance of moving up. I think West Ham have to win this game in my eyes. And kind of the same goes for Brighton. These two teams are both in a position because if Brighton wins this match, they will jump Manchester United and West Ham and jump into 6th place. West Ham wins this match, they'll be tied on points with Tottenham, likely behind them on goal differential. It's a big one. Obviously, Tottenham plays another match, so Tottenham could, move forward as well. Still, it's going to be interesting. I can't really decide whose lineup I like better at the moment. I think I like the idea of Brighton's lineup better, if that makes any sense. And the goal scoring ability, like they scored 2 pens in this game against Tottenham, which is crazy. But and both of them coming from Yao Pedro, who also assisted a goal in this game. You got an assist from James Milner. You have a goal from Jack Hinchelwood, the 18-year-old right back in this game. That's surprising. Sorry. I'm not used to having to talk this much without drinking water. Ugh. Oh, man. But back to what I was saying before my my throat dried up on me. You had a goal from them, and then you had a goal from Purvis Estupinian off the bench. Look, Brighton could win this game 100%. West Ham could obviously win this game. I just like the explosiveness and the variety that Brighton can throw out there on the field. Like in this game, they throw out a 4-1-2-1-2. They keep it pretty narrow with Pascal Gross and James Milner playing right and left center mid, and then you keep a central cam and a central defensive midfielder. I like that a lot with the 2 strikers up front with Welbeck and Yao Pedro. But then you could also run a 4-3-3 with this lineup and put Ansu Fati out on the wing. And there's a whole lot of stuff you could do with this lineup, and they've done it a lot. So I'm interested. I really like what De Zerbi's done. And I think they'll pull off the win this week against West Ham. A much-needed win for Brighton. And I think it's going to be 2-1. Actually, no. Yeah, 2-1. 2-1. We'll go 2-1 Brighton over West Ham. And that does it for my predictions. But a lot of matches to be played still. So, Saturday, pretty full lineup. We got Luton versus Chelsea, Aston Villa versus Burnley, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Man City, Sheffield United, Wolves, Everton, Nottingham Forest, Man United. Huge games there. Then Sunday, Fulham, Arsenal, Spurs, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, West Ham, Brighton. That goes Sunday through Tuesday, and then it gets into the next week, and we'll talk about those matches with Luke next week. So, Nathan didn't submit any questions, but with Luke being sick, I requested one thing of him since he wasn't going to be on the episode, and it was to send me some questions. So I've got my phone here. He texted them to me mid-episode, and we're going to go through his questions now. So it is officially questions time. Let's see. So our first question from the sickly Luke Morozic. Gatorade or Powerade? Well, I think I know his opinion on this. And that's just from recording with him so many times. I think last week he had a Powerade on the episode. You guys can go fact check me. I'm pretty sure he had a Powerade. One of the last two recordings we've done. But the issue is, in his text, he spelled it incorrectly. He spelled Powerade Powerade. Now look, me, I'm a. It kind of sucks. I'm kind of a name brand guy, and there's one thing to me that gets Gatorade the advantage to me over Powerade, and it's cucumber lime. It's cucumber lime. Cucumber lime gives Gatorade the advantage over Powerade to me. Pepino limon. It's the best flavor out there. And it's not like I could drink it every time. It's not an orange. It's not lemon lime. It's not cool blue. It can't be a casual one. It's a guilty pleasure Gatorade. It really is. You find it at, your local gas station. A lot of times, for some reason, the label's in Spanish. That's why I called it Pepino Limon. But there's just something different about that. And I think that gives Gatorade the edge to me over Powerade. I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to go Gatorade, though. And it's strongly based on cucumber lime Gatorade. So the next question. Best Super Bowl you've ever seen? Well, if I wasn't a Falcons fan, there'd be an obvious answer because it was one hell of a comeback. It's tough, man. Real tough. I'm trying to think. I gotta refresh my memory on Super Bowls. Obviously, I've watched all the recent ones. Let's see. Rams Bengals was not a bad one at all. It's actually really good. I think I might have to go Philly over New England, Super Bowl 52. Because I kind of got my get back through the Eagles that year. Obviously 28-3 occurred the year prior. You see Brady go down, the crazy Nick Foles story, the Philly special, the parade, the just chaos in the streets of Philadelphia. I think everything surrounding that kind of enhanced it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go Super Bowl 52 is the best Super Bowl I've ever seen. Next question. How good will the Dodgers be next season? Well, Luke, been getting a lot of questions about that. A lot of people just being like, well, what's the point? Like, the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. Teams do this all the time. They just go out and pick up players. Obviously, this is like a generational talent, possibly one of the best baseball players we've ever seen, skill-wise, in Shohei Ohtani. And then you go out and you get one of the most promising international prospects ever in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And you pick up Tyler Glasnow. There's probably a couple other guys they're going to pick up. And look, they're going to be a great regular season team. Undoubtedly, they always are. They're going to win 100-plus games, probably like 110 if I had to guess. Playoff baseball is one of the world's mysteries, honestly. Something happens to teams in the playoffs in the MLB, unlike anything else. I couldn't ever explain it, but something occurs. I don't know what it is. The Dodgers aren't winning a World Series. Not this year. It just does not seem right. You know, I think the MLB gods, if they're real, are just. And the Dodgers are going to get penalized by those gods for spending so much damn money. I hope. Could they win a World Series? Definitely. They have the players to do it. They have the pitching to do it. They have everything. But there's always a team that shows up, and they're going to come out, and they're going to be hungrier than you are every single year. I can guarantee that. So it's going to take some very hard work from this Dodgers team to actually go and just like win a World Series. So I think obviously they're a playoff team. They're going to win their division. I don't think they're going to win the World Series though. Next question. What are your thoughts on the Super League? Okay, well, if you actually like the idea of the Super League, you're not a soccer fan. It's great. Like the entire time I've been a soccer fan, it seems like every year, 2 years, we have this soccer league conversation, the Super League conversation. And it just doesn't make sense to me. If you're wondering what the Super League is, it's this idea that is constantly proposed where all of the best teams in primarily Europe, really just Europe, your Manchester Cities, your Manchester Uniteds, your Real Madrids, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, PSG, Juventus, those kind of teams, the high profile, big money teams, break off from their domestic leagues and create a super league. I hate the idea because who's to say Man City can't just lose a match to Luton Town? Like, there's so many. Shit, Manchester United spends so much money. They have a -5 goal differential this season. Why? Like, do you think that they want to play Barcelona fucking 2 times a year? Do you think they want to play Real Madrid the other 2 times? And Atletico Madrid? And Man City, who they already play 2 times a year? But then you also have to deal with PSG the next week? Like, no. Nobody wants to see that. People want to see their teams win. I think if they did a Super League, there's a good chance that there's teams that end up having a no-win season. And you never have the chance of an unbeaten season because there's always going to be a team just as good as you, if not better. I hate the idea. I think it ruins the idea of the Champions League as well. Like UEFA entirely shoots this idea down every time. So it ruins the Champions League, which is a spectacle in its own right. And I think it just ruins the idea of competitiveness. It ruins the idea of domestic tournaments, of course, domestic leagues, everything. It throws everything for a loop, and I think it sucks. I genuinely hate the idea of the Super League and hope it never comes to fruition. All right. Any big January transfer window predictions? I think Jadon Sancho's on the move. I don't know if that's that big of a prediction. He hasn't really been with the team at all for Manchester United, but I think he's certainly on the move. Probably not for a lot of money. I think PSG's already kind of shot that idea down. But I think Jadon Sancho. I think more of a hotter take is that Jadon Sancho is going to go to a team that's not good. Like, not like a powerful, very good team. If he stays in England, it's not going to be like a top 6 kind of team. If he goes elsewhere, it's not going to be a top team out there either. I'm trying to think. I'd love to say that Victor Osimhen is going to Chelsea in the winter. I just don't know. I think Napoli will be selling some guys, though. I think Napoli's going to lose a little bit of firepower over the winter. We talked about that, I think, in our Champions League preview for the knockout stages, that I thought Napoli could lose some guys in the winter, and I think that's definitely the case. So that's another thing to look out for, would be Napoli losing a couple players to the winter transfer window. kind of my biggest predictions. I haven't really looked too much into the news and any comments on the Russell Wilson situation. Well, I already kind of went over that. I thought it's ridiculous. Um, so yeah, you can if you missed that part somehow, that multiple minute rant, um, just go back. There you go. I'm not going over the Russell Wilson stuff again. So with that being said, Luke, thank you for your questions. Hope you feel better if you're listening right now. And to everybody else, you know exactly what I told you to do at the beginning of this episode. Why haven't you done it yet? Okay, well, I'll give you a refresher. You have to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications on YouTube. Then go to the podcast platforms, rate 5 stars, follow us, leave a written review. All of them. Then go to each of our social media pages, follow us, like it. And I forgot in the intro to join the subreddit. Duh. Need you guys submitting those questions for questions time. So, with that being said, thank you. This was a fantastic solo episode. Had a whole lot of fun. My throat is so dry from talking for 2 hours straight. And see you guys next week. Hopefully with 2 people. Enjoy your New Year's. We'll see you in 2024. Peace.